Well, folks, this is a good fat sow and good bullet placement for killing hogs.
These are what they call Jerusalem artichokes or sunchoke. They're not from Jerusalem and they're not related to the artichoke.
Well, folks, we are about to put the old cast iron skillet to work on some of these venison backstraps. Welcome to A Sportsman's Life. We're so glad you tuned in to join us for another exciting real-world outdoor adventure right here on A Sportsman's Life. Folks, I tell you what, the Dragon Claw did its job. That little 240 grain bullet did its job. That's probably a sow that's about to drop some pigs. Let's get up there a little bit closer. Looks like I've got some really good eating right now. Put that rascal on the meat pole here in just a little bit. Folks, we have a good fat sow right here. Probably, I'm going to guess 135 pounds. If I had to put money on a bet, I bet it weighs about 135, 140 pounds. Good and fat. It's going to make some good back straps. Made a good shot. I'll bring the camera in a little closer and give you a good close-up shot. But right there is where we shot the hog. They don't run when you hit them here. I've got my work cut out for me, but I'm happy. So, let's take a little close look and I'll start quartering this rascal up in the woods and probably finish him up back at camp. So here I go. Well, folks, this is a good fat sow and good bullet placement for killing hogs right there. Close shot, probably 50 yards. The Seneca Dragon Claw, folks, is a hog gun too. Not just shooting air bolts, also shooting those 220 grain bullets. Anyway, I've got my work cut out for me. That's your shot placement though, folks, for dropping hogs right there. A head shot is good if you can make it, but right there, if you've got from the top of its back, down another 3 or 4 inches below where that bullet hit, they don't run when you hit them here.
Brought to you by Dallas Safari Club, Conservation, Education, and Hunter Advocacy. Hornaday, accurate, deadly, dependable. Taurus Firearms, maker of the Raging Hunter. Trigicon, brilliant aiming solutions.
Hi, I'm Sharon Kilpatrick from Farm Calhoun, and we're in our Perennials section of our garden. I'd like to talk to you about a very interesting onion. Now, these are called Egyptian walking onions. And like a regular onion, they're going to have an onion in the ground, but they're also going to have an onion on top. So if you see that, it has multiple bulbs, and each of these are actually little baby onions. And even the onions are going to have grow onions on top. These are second year or over second year. The very first year that you plant them, they won't have onions on top. They won't do that until the second year. And how they also divide is that they're going to divide at the bottom too. So they're going to multiply from the top and they're going to multiply from the bottom. How these will spread, and the reason why they're called walking onions, is because the bulblets on the top get very heavy and these stalks are going to bend over. So wherever you plant an onion, you're going to start having onions walk 2 feet from the base of it. Now I've dug some up so you can see what the onions on the bottom look like. And these are very close together because they're dividing at the bottom. But you can see that they're still, even it's May, and they're still a pretty good size, so that you could actually dig these up and eat them if you wanted to. And in a few months, when these onions get bigger, you could even eat the ones on the top. And I know that a lot of hog hunters like to plant onions, you know, every year out to draw the hogs in. Well, the good thing about this is that you can plant your perennial onions, and whatever is left over from the hogs is going to come back, and you won't have to replant it. It's going to spread. Now these are what they call Jerusalem artichokes or sunchoke. They're not from Jerusalem, and they're not related to the artichoke. They're actually native to North America. They're very drought tolerant, and they're part of the sunflower family. Now this is May, and as you can see, that these plants are like 3 and 4 foot tall already. They start coming up probably around mid-April. So in a few months, these are going to be about 7 foot tall, and they're going to have a little flower on top. Now they don't make, this is a sunflower, but they don't make sunflower seeds, but they do flower. Now at the bottom, the very interesting thing about these is that they grow tubers. And these tubers, you can actually, after the first frost, you can dig them up and slice them up and fry them, and they taste like a potato, or they do to us. We really like them a lot. We use these instead of potatoes, actually, because we don't have to replant them year after year. You dig them up and you eat some, and then they grow back from whatever you left in the ground. Now, as you can see, now this is May. It's not time to harvest yet, but this is what your little tubers are looked at right now. They're about a ½ inch across. And what will happen is close to harvest time is these tubers can get anywhere from 1 inch to maybe 2 inches wide. And another thing that's good is because this is in the sunflower family, deer really love to eat sunflower plants. And you can use this in your deer stand as well as your food plot. If you're interested in starting some perennial onions, or some perennial sunflowers that also create edible roots that taste like potatoes, contact us at farmcalhoun@yahoo.com. That's FARMCOLQUHOUN @yahoo.com.
A Sportsman's Life is also brought to you by Air Force Airguns, AGM Global Vision, H3 Whitetail Solutions, Pyramid Air, Gear the Hunt, Snaplock Hunting Blinds, Smoke and Tex, Striper Express, TRHP Outdoors, and Ultramatic Feeders. Conservation Today is brought to you by Hayden Outdoors Real Estate, the brand that sells the land. Visit HaydenOutdoors.com to find or sell your farm, ranch, or recreational property.
I hate to see that. He's a good deer. I don't think any hunter, any wildlife manager likes to see this. You know, natural mortality is the one thing that is completely out of our hands, but you have to take it into consideration. You know, it's a fight for survival every single day for these animals. You know, I mean, a snake bite or crossing the road and getting hit by a car, or, you know, getting gored by another buck, you know, especially as your sex ratios get tighter and tighter on your property. You know, you take that chance, and as you know, a good deer like this who's super young, I have history with him, you know, you hate to see it. But it's definitely something, like I said, that you have to put into your management plan. You have to allow for a certain percentage of mortality because it's going to happen. So keep this in mind when you're working on your management plan. Keep this in mind when you're evaluating your deer this year. I'm Brandon Houston with H3 Whitetail Solutions.
Well folks, we are about to put the old cast iron skillet to work on some of these venison backstrap steaks that's been marinating 2 days. Now, to carry on with our plants, the newly discovered plants, here is what about 2 jerks out of the ground produced. It took about 3 seconds to pull these up. See how prolific these walking onions, Egyptian walking onions. I'm going to put some of these very fresh onions to work with this venison steak. And here is one of our sunchokes. I thought it would be good to, I don't want to waste all my sunchokes right now. I planted a bunch of them, but I thought I'd kind of garnish this steak with this one, cut it in little pieces. But these are great fried, and this fall there will be a bunch of them about 5 times this big. So let's put our onions to work on top of and saute it around these venison backstrap steaks. Well, folks, I'm going to give you a close-up here of our venison steaks. I've got them in the skillet here with the walking onions, the Egyptian walking onions, and the sunchokes, or the Jerusalem artichokes, if you will. They look zero like an artichoke, but I tell you, those onions are already putting forth a awesome aroma from these venison steaks. I guess we could call this a meal from the wild. Venison backstrap from the wild, and the plants that we're cooking pretty much from the wild too. Remember now, you can order these to start for these plants, like these Jerusalem artichokes. S. Kilpatrick, you saw Sharon earlier in the show, where she actually grows all these plants. S. Kilpatrick at yahoo.com. S. Kilpatrick at yahoo.com. And she's shipping these onion sets out right now, but the actual tubers, you know, the artichokes, if you will, sunchokes, they'll be shipped. She's taking orders ahead, but they'll be shipped out this fall. It's going to make great deer food. It's going to make great Luke, Larry, and Jeff food too. So let me show you a close-up of what we're cooking. So here we go. Venison backstrap, and I've actually put those little tubers in, kind of put them on top of a lot of these onions. Okay, let's turn one of these over. Hard to beat good lean venison steak, especially cooked with all these onions. So this is going to be lunch in a little bit. We'll slice some of this up and partake. That butter, though, gives that steak just an awesome flavor. And we've got some of these little sunchokes cooked in here with it. That give it a little added flavor. But a lot of these I've planted, and fall time is when they're really going to make a big crop. Like a little potato right there. Hey, folks, these steaks are just the way old Luke likes them. Let's put them on the plate. Cut our heat off. They're well done. Butter infused, if you will. Folks that say they don't like venison, they haven't had any of this. Then I thought what we would do is just kind of spoon over some of these onions. Of course, the onion flavor is cooked into these. And let's go ahead and just kind of take a look. And a bite. Folks, it doesn't get much more wild than this.
We're going to wrap up this week's show with a little video clip of an encounter I had with a fawn as I made my way into my bow stand for an evening hog hunt. Let's watch what happens. We want to thank you for joining us here on this week's episode. Please join us right back here next week for another exciting adventure on A Sportsman's Life.